Thanks, Acting Speaker, and I rise today to contribute to the Roads and Road Safety Legislation Amendment Bill 2024, and I've just heard the contribution from the member for Berwick, and he made reference to slowing traffic down, and as an old paramedic, and I say old, I think it's a great thing slowing traffic down, because if we look at the deaths on the road this year, most of it was caused by excessive speed or not wearing seatbelts. So I think slowing traffic down is a great concept. So thanks for your contribution on slowing traffic down. So that's great. But I'll also reflect on what the member for South West Coast has said in the commentary around Victoria having the worst roads in the country. And I travelled down to South Australia just recently, down to Victor Harbour, towing a caravan. I can tell you by comparison, Victorian roads are very good. So, maybe it was just that stretch down to Victor Harbour, but, it was pretty good. And then again, the member for Gippsland South gave us lovely pothole education, and I can say along the Western Freeway, which I travel every day along the Western Freeway, there's been enormous works done along the Western Freeway by Vic Roads, and I commend their workers in terrible weather getting out there and upgrading the road and fixing the road. And I should say around Melton, we're doing a number of intersection upgrades, and I thank Vic Roads again, in regard to the upgrading of High Street and Coburns Road, Norton Drive and High Street. These are major intersections in Melton, and they're making the place a hell of a lot safer, that will keep people safe and hopefully prevent people being seriously injured or killed in accidents in high-risk intersections. But this bill makes a few minor but important updates to the Road Safety Act to reflect that licences aren't just physical cards anymore. And the Act assumed that licences were only ever in physical form. And some of us will remember the good old licences in that paper form that you used to fold up, and they'd, put them in a wallet, and by the time you pulled them out of the wallet, they were all tattered and fallen to bits and things like that, and you didn't have to have a photo in those days on your licence. So that's how far back some of us go here. Yes, some of us go here. I think I got my licence in 1973, so there you go, when Richmond won the premiership in 1973, so hey, good old Tigers, they went back to back, 73, 74, I remember that, so, and I had a licence to drive to the grand final, I should remind the member for Croydon, so I had a licence to go to the grand final to watch Richmond win that year, but anyway, it was good old paper licence in those days, but now we've come to digital licences, which is amazing and great technology, and of course, over 1 million people have got on board with those digital licences, and I'll refer to something a bit later about there's 1,000,001 that have got the digital licence now, and that was myself just before I came into the chamber, so it's not that hard. When you can have a dinosaur like myself even doing digital things, that's amazing, and I've got a digital licence now. Don't know what I'm going to do with it, but anyway, I've got one. So of course, this is not just about fancy technology. It's about making life easier and safer for all of us. And the Labor government, the Allan Labor government is delivering on its promise to modernise systems, and the response from the community has been fantastic. And as I said, over 1 million people are already on board with the digital licences, and that's fantastic. And of course, one of the standout features of this new bill is that it formally recognises the digital driver's licences in the Road Safety Act. And we made a promise to bring Victoria into the digital age, and I'm proud to say we've delivered in record time. And Acting Speaker, like most things in my life, I want to talk about something that's actually very simple, but incredibly useful. And the digital driver licences now, I'm not the most tech savvy, as I said previously, but even I can see how easy and helpful this is for all Victorians, and now that I've got it on my phone, I'll work out what I do with it after that, and hopefully I won't be stopped by the coppers, and I believe you don't have to hand the phone over to the cops, but anyway, we'll see how we go. So I might say to them, if they pull me up, I might say, look, I was looking for my digital licence on the phone, rather than say, oh, you've been talking on the phone. So we'll be right. And I know the police do a fantastic job, so good on them. This bill certainly gives legal clarity that digital licence is just as valid as the physical cards that we've been using. And I did renew my physical card recently, and it's interesting that you don't have to go and get a new photo. So I think my old photo, I think I was carrying about 20 kilos more It doesn't even look like me, and even though I've got a twin brother, so I'll blame my twin brother. I'll say it's him and not me. But so you don't even have to get a new photo when you get your plastic licence. So it's quite interesting. So, of course, we promised Victorians we would have the option to carry their licences on their phones by 2024. That's been delivered. Digital licences have been available since May for anyone with a full licence, and it's no surprise to this chamber that over 1 million people are already using them, and 20% of eligible drivers. And of course that's growing and growing rapidly. And of course this all started in a trial in Ballarat where more than 15,000 Ballarat residents and drivers access their licences through the My Vic Roads or Service Victoria apps. And people love the convenience, and it's great. I can't blame them for that. And as I say, I just had it put on my phone today, and it'll be fantastic. Of course, Acting Speaker, I'm glad you're sitting down because this part might surprise you. With little or no help, as I said earlier, I did do it myself. I had a couple of goes at it. I tried it on the Services Victoria app and I had no luck, but of course we went to, I think it was through MyGov or something like that, I can't remember now, Vic Roads app, that's right, we've put that on there, and you know, hallelujah, I've got a digital driver's licence. So, but of course I needed some assistance from my wife because I don't have a registered vehicle, because I don't own a vehicle, my wife owns the vehicle, but I just bought a motorhome recently and apparently that's registered in my name, so we had to give the registration for the motorhome. So, I certainly would like to highlight some of the key points of the Roads and Road Safety Legislation Amendment Bill, which brings important changes that will benefit our communities in many different ways. And we'll talk about the removal of the trucks from the Melbourne's inner west. And someone that was born and bred in Melbourne's inner west, born and bred in Braybrook, and knocked around those western suburbs areas for many, many years and saw the traffic increase over many decades, and the type of traffic that's down in that inner western suburbs area. And I remember when I did first get my licence, and my father was alive and he worked at GMH at Fisherman's Bend, and I would drive him to the ferry at the end of Francis Street, if anyone knows it, and pedestrians would get on the ferry and go across the river to Fisherman's Bend, to the aircraft factory, to GMH, and all those big manufacturing companies that were on that side of the river. And yeah, I remember the traffic in those days, and you're talking into the 70s and 80s of where there was high volumes of traffic in those days, and many, many trucks because of the petrochemical companies that were all in that area. And the truck increase obviously with the Westgate Bridge coming off the bridge into Melbourne Road, Millers Road, whatever it might be, Francis Street, enormous truck volumes, and it must have been terrible for the local residents. And I've got to shout out to the member for Footscray and the member for Williamstown in regard to their advocacy in getting these trucks off those local roads and making it a lot safer for their constituents, and it's a fantastic effort by them. And it's coming all to fruition with the opening of the with the Westgate Tunnel next year, which will benefit not only the inner west, but right through the western corridor, down to the southwest, down from Geelong into Melbourne, and also in my area of Melton, where many, many constituents will use that part and that road and access that to go into the city for entertainment, for work, for school for some people, and also travelling in for sporting events, in particular towards the MCG and down to the tennis centre and places like that. So that road and that access in many different ways, not just through the tunnel, but all the work that's being done along Footscray Road and the elevated roadworks there is going to be amazing, let alone the bicycle path. And I think I'm not sure what they do call it, velodrome or velo something, and it looks fantastic and great work for not only this state, a great asset for this state, but a fantastic asset for the western suburbs. And for the western suburbs people that think everything's happening in the east, it's not. And next year we'll see the opening of the Westgate Tunnel, we'll see the opening of the Metro Tunnel. Two great assets, two great transport assets, and assets that people can travel along to get to places where they need to go. I commend this bill to the House.